What we studied. What is ethics in business? Value and corporate governance is structural and behavioral, that is structure and value aspect. Why we need ethics in business? Yes, business. One different question and everyone's face is like question mark. Critical thinking is needed. Don't just read, think also while reading. Ethics in business is needed for quality of products, quality of services, so that society can sustain products. There is a cohesive relationship between business and societies and government survival also. We also discuss how without proper environment, without business environment, business cannot survive. But also, what cannot survive? Society and government cannot survive because there will be an absolute state, no freedom and independence, no arena to maximize utility. Freedom will be curtailed. There will be no equality principle. So, ethics in business is needed. Without ethics in business, there will be crony capitalism, CMC, nexus, and there will be just plutocracy. Democracy may move towards plutocracy, that is ruled by the 2 or 3 rich people. Democracy becomes for the corporates, by the corporates, of the corporates, other than democracy of the people, by the people and for the people. Further talked about, I guess, what is compassionate capitalism? What is compassionate capitalism? Yes. I asked what is compassionate capital, not the characteristics. That is Western capitalism. It is good. Yes, having compassion capitalism, not Western model of capitalism, not utility maximization, but a humane aspect in corporates, in capitalism, that is compassionate capitalism. Human aspects can have when there is some disaster or economic recession. It should be the top people who should first take the cut. Bottom people should be protected in such environment because they live hand to mouth. Unlike big corporates, we also know Citibank, how that Citibank CEO, I guess Vikram Pandit, used to take 1 rupee salary during financial crisis of 2008. This compassionate capitalism, more or less. And further, what we talked about. Now, yes, CSR, positives and negatives also some. What are positives? It promotes cohesion and partnership between civil society, people and corporates, government, NGO, voluntary agencies, right, whatever you want, third sector. Cohesive partner, yes, bottom-up approach to development, that people at the bottom are also participating in the process of development. That is bottom-up approach. Yes, it is positives also. Some data was also given. Remember data? Forgot. Then mug up afterwards. Tomorrow. What? 84% or 90%? Published CSR. Yes. 56% globally and 90% have policy and bribe. 90% have less than 20% women in board of directors. And one more data was given, 33,000 something, 1.7 lakh, 33, 4, 7, 8, 9 women are there in topmost senior positions. This, yes, whereas men are 1.87 lakhs. Yes, that is, and then we also talked about ethics in IR. What is ethics in IR? Yes, that is some are established under the respect, equality, respect and independence of its sovereignty, not only independence but also interdependence, so that economy gets intertwined and war and etc. is avoided because people are highly connected in an interdependent world. European Unions were always fighting World War I, World War II. Now you see European Union totally like a one country, because West versus also West. There is no conflict between Western countries also. No conflict between USA, any European Union, USA or Germany. But see, World War I and World War II, they are all fighting. Economy got intertwined. So that is what it is. And what all we discussed, some theoretical perspective, moral. What is moral realism? Yes, power should be the main. Yes, and what is moral idealism? Yes, and what is ethics of global commons? What? Not examples, concept. Huh? वो कॉमन से, पर व्हाट इज एथिक्स इन ग्लोबल कॉमन्स? Thinking for all, not doing anything. What should be the regulation governing global commons? Some standards should be there by governing global commons. Global commons are Antarctica, oceans, then heavenly bodies, moons. Moon of Jupiter is Ganymede, European? No. Once they have asked in prelims. Moons of Jupiter. That is what should be the governing aspect for those heavenly bodies. That is ethics of global commons. And ethics of common good is how it is different from ethics of global commons and ethics of common good. Yes, people, good for the people, it's good for everyone. Video नहीं देखा? Briefly, ethics in international relation is what? International relations तो पता है? A country having relations with other country, that is international relations. What should be the ethics? There should be certain standards having international relations. Not like we should exercise power. Our neighbors are small, Bhutan, Nepal. We should not use power and observe them. The relation should be based on mutual respect, equality, respecting sovereignty and territorial integrity. That should be the guiding factor. There should be not be independence, rather interdependence. Understand that interdependence? Isolation era, how Pakistan is isolated. Very wrong tactic. I guess you cannot change your borders. Rather engage, talk. So there is interdependence. That way engagement will be there. People to people, cultural contact will happen. Now social media, very good medium for cultural contact on YouTube, etc. They collaborate virtually also, showing culture of each other, how they are similarities. People to people contact. That is also Bollywood, Hollywood, Bollywood and IPL was also one medium for people to people contact to promote interdependence. But I guess they have been boycotted now. So we will discuss some issues in what standards should be, what ethical standards should be there to regulate the global commons. There should be certain standards. UN has certain standards, but UN also does not cover everything. It doesn't talk about cyber security and cyber attack. Many such grey areas are there. That is ethics of global commons. Global commons, समझ गया ना क्या है? हाँ, उसके what should be the standards of governing that. Now different issues. For ethics in IR, certain issues will cover. Ethics of war, ethics and war. Terrorism, Ethics and refugees. Ethics and national interest. Ethics and international funding. Then also we'll deal with can there be ethics in art. These issues we'll discuss, different issues in ethics in IR, ethics of war, ethics and refugees, terrorism, national interest and ethics in IR, ethics in international relations, ethical issues in international funding. So let's start with ethics and war. And war. Don't draw ambition, don't worry. Ethics and war or ethics of war, terrorism, ethics and refugees, ethics and national interests, ethics and international funding, and can there be ethics in IR? These issues we'll dwell on. Now, what is war? What is war? War के लड़ाई तो डिप्लोमेटिकली नहीं हो सकती. War is what? It's a negative object. It's more of fight between two nations, arms fight. We connote with war. So it's basically a negative object. So and ethics is a positive object. So they are at loggerheads. Like there can't be war and ethics go hand in hand. One perspective is this: war in general has a negative connotation and is unethical. Because of why? Why it is unethical? Yes, human life suffers. Its application of power. Rather than wisdom, rationality and intellect. No scope for consensus, meeting of minds. This meeting of minds. Application of power, it's okay. And what are the further consequences of war? Yes, the application of power, but humans should find solution based on wisdom, application of rationality, consensus, meeting of minds. That is, human values should be first priority while dealing with any war. But war leads to destruction of humanity. Human values get tarnished. It can also lead to atrocities in war. Further, it can have many negative effects. In long term, it can also promote arms race. You understand arms race? It makes country or the region more volatile. People will start developing more and more arms. Cold War was in totality an arms race. Even Star Wars, it was explored from heavenly bodies. They will bombard other countries. Big arms race was promoted. So it creates mortality and uncertainty among the masses. And what all happens then? People become fearful. There is no development. With war-like situation, economy and corporate cannot grow. Without economic and corporate, state becomes an absolute state. That is one aspect. But war can become inevitable sometimes. To ensure ethics in war, there are certain conventions. which is the most important conventions? Geneva, I guess. Geneva Convention, not Vienna. Geneva. Geneva Convention says what? Yeah. Yes, human treatment. Yes, there should be human treatment among the warring nations, that a military prisoner should be given dignity and respect. There should not be atrocities. If the prisoner is captured, warring nations should not target civilians also. But now we know Israel-Palestine, how Israel is also targeting children's, very unethical. Then also, whenever any soldier etc. dies, you should further hand over to the other country, or you should give a dignified burial according to the religious practices. I guess Kargil war, Pakistan refused to accept their soldiers. Then Indian army gave a dignified burial because following of Geneva Conventions. An eye for an eye makes the whole world blind. Once, yes, certain things happen, our soldiers go there, kill someone, bring there some body parts, their soldiers come, go there. Very bad practice. Once a defense minister of India was justifying all this. National news also. Her question was that this is happening, what are you doing? The answer she gave was, news में आ रहा है तो ऐसा मत समझो हम कुछ नहीं कर रहे, हम भी कर रहे. Very bad. There should be ethics in war. Yes, signatory to Geneva Conventions. Never propagate war. Ask a person who has lost a family member in war. They know how war is bad, how it is painful. That's why those who propagate war mostly are never lost their someone or did not have army background. They only propagate war. But is war bad all the time? How it is good? Now, how it is good? That is example. Is war bad all the time? How it is good? Yes. Yes, to promote peace and propagate human values. War becomes inevitable sometimes. World War II was inevitable. Hitler was creating a lot of atrocities on the Jews. But then, I guess, Normandy coast, the Allies landed, and that sealed the fate of Hitler. That's why war is also, there is ethics also in war. To propagate ethics, war can also be one way. Also, we all know 1971 atrocities in Bangladesh. India intervened. That is, we are moral realists that time. Use power to protect the dignity of the Bangladeshis. There can be ethics in war also. Kargil also. India responded for capture of territory in India. So that is also ethics in war. So war and ethics can go hand in hand also. But war should be the last resort. Should be all negotiation and talks. So this way, war can also be justified. We also know the Geneva Convention, the conflict zone, human rights should be protected and everything. This is largely ethics of war. During the war, value should be bravery. After the war, it should be what? Dignity. What? Bravery. After what? One by one. After war, what? Dignity. Yeah? So many values have been taught. कोई भी value fit करो. Bravery is one value. After what? Treaty. treaty's value. So this ethics paper, not GS3 security issues. Peace, yes, peace also after war. After war तो खत्म हो गया, तो peace तो resultant ही है ना. Compromise, treaty, GS3, international security issues after humanity. Compatibility, friendly relations. Yes, after war there should be compassion. Yes, human values, right? But compassion is the highest form of human value. Add any human value. But don't write sympathy. Sympathy. The compassion goes beyond. You can write kindness also. So this is ethics of war. Any issues with ethics of war? कुछ पूछना है? So let's go to terrorism. Then you will write. What is terrorism? Don't give examples. Terrorism in JNK, terrorism terrorism in ISIS. यार बेसिक क्वेश्चन है इसमें, अभी क्या इतना सोचना है? हाँ, आइडियोलॉजी, extremist ideology is also left-wing extremism, Naxalism. Illicit practices. What illicit practices? What illicit practices? That countries can also destroy. Yes, Israel is destroying. Non-state actors. Yes, tell. आतंकवादी क्या है? आतंकवाद क्या है? No, very good. What is ट्राई कर रहे हैं, बताओ. Hard power is used by North Korea also. Moral realism is by North Korea also. It is basically use of terror and fear among the masses through violent activities. That is terrorism. Okay, and to achieve their objectives largely by non-state actors. That should come non-state actors. This is used also by everything. Now, what is militancy? Don't ask me. You manage yourself how militancy is different from terrorism. Hot topic can come anytime or it is asked in interview. So terrorism is about creating terror and fear among the people through violent means led by non-state actors to achieve certain objectives. Fear and terror by non-state actors. Why? To achieve some objectives. What can be the objectives? Imposition of ideology, yes. That is sponsoring non-state. वो खुद नहीं आ रहे, उन्हें तैयार कर रहे, non-state actors ले आ रहे. प्रोटेक्शन दे, पर खुद की आर्मी नहीं आ रही. If army comes, then it is state. Non-state actors to achieve ideology, propagation of ideology. Also, what can be objectives?
These objectives.
मुझे बताने से अच्छा मुझे बताओ. Be participative. That will shape your personality also. Ideology, then toppling the state also, I guess. Yes, Khalistan, toppling the state. And also independent country also. Independence, I guess Kashmir, J&K, independence. These are the objectives. Ideology, toppling the state government, state, that is nation state, come to power and independent state. Terrorism is ethical or that's one by one. Can terrorism be ethical? If war can be ethical, can terrorism be ethical? One by one. No. Why? Yes or no? Why? Good. But war is ethical also.
Chosen for that.
तो वॉर में भी होता है नेशन स्टेट. वॉर में पड़ता था कि अटैक थोड़ा फॉर्मलाइज्ड होता है. यस. नहीं अभी सही से हो.
So, because of taking the time, just want किसी locals
तो है कि नहीं? Don't do that between answers. Not at all. Ethical lesson. Terrorism or war? Overall perspective. For them it is ethical, for other humans it is not. Question is whether terrorism is ethical. Good terrorist, bad terrorist. Can there be differentiation? Yes. If Afghanistan targets Pakistan, that is good terrorism. If Afghanistan people target Pakistan, then it's good terrorism. If they target India, bad terrorism.
state president, those names
Acha. Very good. Eye for an eye makes the whole world blind.
there are 4 ways of executing.
Sometime? Okay. Objective is right, terrorism is right.
Ethics, because state passes
Yes, terrorism can never be ethical. Good terrorism, bad terrorism. Terrorism is terrorism. Doesn't matter good or bad. Okay, and also objective also doesn't matter. Objective, if you have noble objective through right means, through consensus and discussion, that terrorism should never be adopted. It creates fear among the masses. How it will target innocents also. How you are sure that it will target intended person? What terrorists do? They will target a public place to create fear. Most people may not even aware that government exists. Which political culture? Parochial political culture. They may not be even aware. Many things happened 26/11. Were they even many foreigners were there in that hotel? So what? How they want to? That is, if you have any issues against the state, it should be through consensus, a discussion, state to state, because state has legitimacy of democracy. You are non-state actor. So this is, and also it is irrational. How it is irrational? Terrorists, suicide bombers are brainwashed mostly on for religion line, for any ideology. They'll brainwash. Brainwashing promotes irrationality. If brainwashing is there, then there can be no voluntariness and free will. Yeah, the voluntariness, free will. Some years ago we had discussed. We'll see how we'll write case studies. Everything will come. What you are doing, what you are not. Causes huge damage to society also. Fear. Terrorism creates fear. So terrorism can never be ethical. And also state should also has a moral obligation to deal with terrorists. What moral obligation states has? For your better understanding, draw this. Non-state actors. Here. Ideology. Non-state actor promotes terrorism. provoked for fear and violence among the people. Objectives are ideological, independent state, toppling the government. Okay. So how should states deal with propagation of terrorism, state-led terrorism? Should avoid brushing all members of that community with the same brush. Religion should not be associated with terrorism. That's why it is largely said, terror has no religion. That should be how it should deal with independent agencies. Many times in the name of terrorism, they kill innocent people also. Many fake encounters. JNK, if you open up all those files and for that, many. Also, Irshad Jahan case, I guess, that also. Fake encounter, she was branded as a terrorist and killed in Gujarat. Many cases are there, write any case you want. State should result in, should not what? Should not propagate terrorism also. In collateral damage, that means it will become what? It will become an state before Hobbes, how the state was. Everywhere chaos. State should never sponsor terrorism. Many people say India should. This, I guess, Pakistan. Here is Balochistan. I guess many people say India should bring up uprising here, similar to Bangladesh, among the Baloch, and create separate country, Balochistan. Very wrong approach. India may support if there is an uprising, and if the Pakistani forces are doing atrocities, internal freedom is restricted, then India can support, as it did here in Bangladesh. Many times US has also done this, got uprising. Ultimately, what happened? Terror attacks happened in US. Remember Osama bin Laden? UBL or OBL? He was used by USA in USSR during the Cold War for taming the USSR forces. They were using non-state actor for terrorism. What happened then? 9/11 happened. Non-state led actors are very dangerous. I guess in Pakistan also. Yes, so many terror attacks are happening also. So very decideful also, you should not promote extremism in the country as well. Extremism will lead to terrorism only. Many things happened also in our country also in the name of religion. Terrorism propagated, terrorism means destruction only. It can never be ethical. Now, terror attacks are increasing in Jammu, Kashmir. So how 370 is successful then? Many articles have come because the local intelligence, the 2-3 important factors they identified, that local intelligence is no more well networked. For local intelligence, you need to develop trust among the locals. Only locals will help you. You can't have so many boots on the ground, or you cannot trust only digital intelligence, best intelligence, local intelligence. Article 360, lot of anger among the people. First time in the country happened, state was converted in a UT. Before UTs were converted into states. So, no local intelligence. Second aspect they say, because line of actual control here, China is aggressive, many forces are shifted here. Very few forces, then that's why terror attacks are happening in Jammu region nowadays because of all these factors. Main is local intelligence. Local intelligence can only stop terrorism. Local intelligence also promotes a good policy that whenever a terror or militant is cornered, they call their parents, give them loudspeaker to come back. Stop this, drop their arms, we will rehabilitate you. Many residents are terrorists in JNK have been rehabilitated also. Good approach, humane approach. That is defeating terrorism by ideology, not by war. So this is all it is about Terrorism ethics also, their state should also be sensitive and sensible, should be compassionate, impartial, respecting human rights. Sensitive means it's that sensitive approach of calling out terrorists, rehabilitating militancy. Also, politics should not be played out. Terrorism also very bad. 6/11 happened. The lawyer, state lawyer, who was contesting elections recently in the Lok Sabha, said during UPA, I was asked, Ajmal Kasab was served biryani. Politics of how it's possible. Every prison has a protocol. Why there will be any special treatment for any prisoner? You are just a prisoner. Politics should not be made to further divide the society. Then more anger, more terror. Humanity. Not at all. Not it's total collapse of the criminal justice system. When yes, injustice everywhere and then justice anywhere. We can counter all police officers, those who are dead, fake encounters are in jail. And who are doing now, in future also they will be in jail. Life imprisonment, many cases have happened. Today they are doing, tomorrow government will change. Or any person, a relative files a PIL, what are you going to do? Supreme Court will form an SIT. SIT under Supreme Court supervision is very independent. And jail time enjoy. Nothing will happen to the minister. Because you are the executioner. And these orders are given orally, not in writing. That's why any such order you should take in writing. We discussed this, civil services, minister responsibility and civil services anonymity. So write down now, ethics of war. War has a negative object. And peace is a positive object. And peace is a positive object. Therefore, war in general has a negative connotation. War in general has a negative connotation and it is considered unethical. Because of following grounds. First, war shows application of power rather than intellect or wisdom, you can also write. Rather than intellect or wisdom. Second, humans should find solution to the problem by application of human rationality. Application of human rationality, reasoning, wisdom. application of human rationality, reasoning and wisdom, and war is not an indication of high level of wisdom. Next point. War results in loss of life of many people. War results in loss of life of many people. And increasing enmity. And increasing enmity. Enmity, you understand enmity? Enmity, right? Otherwise animosity. Alright, increasing anger. Okay, more simpler English. In UPSC, it doesn't matter with how complicated words you write. Your words should be simple and easy to understand. In optional, certain words should come, that is some technical words, but in GS, a simpler answer, but clarity and opening up dimensions and critically writing matters a lot. And even innocent people will be killed. Therefore, in long run, its consequences may not be right. Next point. War also results in arms race. A thirst for power. Even at the cost of respecting human dignity. Even at the cost of respecting human dignity. Even at the cost of respect of human dignity. Right? Respect of. Don't use verb. Human dignity, freedom and livelihood. Human dignity, freedom and livelihood. Nevertheless, human dignity, freedom and livelihood. Nevertheless, in some situations, war becomes essential. In some situation, war becomes essential. That's why there is ethics in war. That's why there is ethics in war. Right, ethics in war, that is Geneva Convention. Vienna Convention is more on ozone layer, I guess. Ozone layer, right? Montreal Protocol and Vienna Convention. Example, World War II. became essential to protect freedom, liberty, and dignity. Freedom, dignity, and liberty. You can also give example of Kargil war also. War in ethics relates to right one. War in ethics of war, right? Anything. But war is going on, there should be ethics. That is what it intends to write. Right, first, civil population should not be harmed. Civilian population should not be harmed. First, civilian population should not be harmed. Civilian population should not be harmed. Next, when military surrenders or declares peace, when military surrenders or declares peace, other side should respect it. Soldiers who are killed in war. Next, soldiers who are killed in war should be handed over to the other side with due respect. And if the other side refuse to accept their soldiers, they should be given dignified burial. Otherwise, the last rite should be performed in a dignified way. Otherwise, that is, they should be given dignified burial. Otherwise, you can also write, last rite should be performed in a dignified way. Also write military. Next point, military should not violate human rights. Should not violate human rights in a conflict zone. Military should not violate human rights in a conflict zone. Military should not violate human rights in a conflict zone. Human shields too should not be used. Human shields too should not be used. Write, for example, that 90,000 Pakistani soldiers were 90,000 Pakistani soldiers during the Bangladesh war were respectfully returned to Pakistan. 90,000 Pakistani soldiers during the Bangladesh war were respectfully handed over to Pakistan. During the war, there should be bravery. After the war, there should be compassion. That movie you have seen, Border. उसके एंड में क्या गाना होता है? That is after the war, it's showing compassion. Border movie, at the end there is one song. Border देखा है? एंड में गाना, that is a way of showing compassion. If not, go on YouTube, there is still there that movie. Watch, good movie. Next, right, terrorism. It has become an important issue in international relations. It has important issue in international relations. Terrorism, yes. Terrorism is basically creating fear among the people. Terrorism is basically creating fear among the people by non-state actors. Terrorism is creating fear among the people by non-state actors to meet their objectives. Their objectives. That is, people and state should hear their voices and problems. That is, people and state should hear their voices and their problems. The act of terrorism is largely promoted by non-state actors. The act of terrorism is largely promoted by non-state actors with an intention of right first, with the intention of act of terrorism is propagated by non-state actors with an intention of first propagating their ideology, intention of first propagating their ideology, second, toppling the government, and coming to power, third, establishing an independent state. Right, next, in paratype. Terrorism is not an ethical way to address the demands. Terrorism is not an ethical way to address their demands. Rather, it is highly unethical. Rather, it is highly unethical. Because, first, it is based on irrationality. Because, first, it is based on irrationality. That in bracket brainwashing is based on irrationality. Second, affecting has more of positive connotation. Affecting other people's free will and voluntariness. Affecting other people's free will and voluntariness. Third, causes huge damage to societies. Huge damage to societies. Now, next studying how states should react to the act of terrorism. React to the act of terrorism. State has responsibility especially democratic country. State has responsibility, especially democratic country, not to respond to terrorism, in such a way that there is propagation of state-led terrorism. Right, first, should not brush all members of a community. Should not brush all members of a community with the same tar. Should not brush the same members of a community with the same tar. Should not brush members of a particular, all members of a particular community with the same tar. You understand tar? Then write brush. Tar is used to lay roads. It is black in color. So you brush, don't use that tar to blacken every member's face of that community if some members are promoting terrorism. Okay. Otherwise, write brush. Should not brush all members of the same community with the same brush. If we don't want to write. Paint can be write paint also. That is, entire community should not be blamed for the act of few. That is, entire community should not be blamed for the act of few. Next, terrorism. Next point, terrorism should not be linked to any religion. Next, investigative agencies. Investigation agencies should not falsely implicate people to show that case has been resolved. To show that case has been resolved to gain publicity. Next, states should not resort to act of terrorism. States should not resort to acts of terrorism. Which will resort to act of terrorism. And states should not adopt the policy of state-led terrorism. That is what it intends to say. Which would result in collateral damage. And loss of innocent lives. Here you can give the example of Osama bin Laden. How Al-Qaeda was used by USA to tame USSR, and later Al-Qaeda bombed USA, that is the Twin Towers came falling, biggest terror attack in the history of humanity. Rather, states should have a democratic response. By way of sensitivity and sensibility. Showing sensitivity and sensibility. Rather, states should have a democratic response by way of showing sensitivity and sensibility, compassion and impartiality. Sensitivity and sensibility, compassion and impartiality. Respecting human rights. Who are refugees? What are refugees? State? Yes, why not? But punishment should come from criminal justice system. Criminal justice, that is through courts. That is a mature democracy. Otherwise, also larger good. How USA killed Osama? They went to Pakistan. Big operation, Anara operation, Balakot. Okay, what happened? But still terrorism is happening in JNK. After that, there was no attacks in US. See their security. But terror attacks didn't happen after that. No single terror attack. Yet, even if they are engaged in war with many countries, intervene in Afghanistan, intervene in Iraq, see that how their homeland is secured and our homeland. The first demonetization, one objective was to finish terrorism. Next was Balakot strikes, Pulwama, Balakot. Big terror camps were destroyed, that was the claim. So, refugees, who are refugees now? Yes, maybe. Prisoners of war, if there is war prison, they should be handed over to the. Then, if there is no signatory, if they are signatory to Geneva Convention, there can be sanctions also. India is not, I don't need to check whether India is signatory or not. India must be signatory. But Kulbhushan Jadhav was a spy. He is not a prisoner of war. He was a spy. James Bond still not able to rescue him. उनका एक छोड़ देते, हमारा ले आते, कुछ negotiation करके. Very sad. And it is a narrative that he is the best spy in the world. What happened then in Bangladesh? Could not able to stop that coup also. USA not only stops a coup but also arranges a coup. See that power of that country. And here in our neighborhood, very close, bus bagal mein, still not able to protect the friendly government. So who are refugees now? Yes, to a large extent, person facing political prosecution in their home country, which can have a threat to their life also. That are refugees according to UNHCR, United Convention on Refugees, United Nations High Commission on Refugees. That how it defines refugees. That is a person facing political prosecution, where there can be threat to his or her life. He moves to other country. Those are refugees. Like Sheikh Hasina is a refugee in India now. Such person seeks asylum to that country. Another country means that country also means that the country should not force that refugee to go back to the country. It should either accept, if they are signatory to this convention of United Nations HCR, High Commission on Refugees, or that country has a custom of accepting refugees. Like in India, there is, India there is custom of ADV. Yes, your guest has come, you should accept it. India is not signatory, European Union is signatory to Geneva Convention. Even if country is not a signatory, has a moral obligation to protect humans from persecution. It should not send back refugees back to the country to get killed. It is a customary practice in India. The refugees are also entitled to, when they come to a asylum country, they are entitled to food, water, livelihood, human dignity. That should be provided. UNHCR also gives them identity. They have right to seek livelihood also in that asylum country. Now, refugees are clear. Who are refugees? What are their rights? Why refugee crisis happen? Why it happens? Yes, to a larger extent. Anyone else want to try? Religious persecution is there. This turn state is biased, not unbiased. It is not neutral. Yes, largely there refugee crisis happens due to all these reasons, but also development. There can be disagreement. Then state can persecute you. Then it can even threaten your life. And also religious freedom gets lost. The state stops being neutral. It becomes biased. Then people seek refuge to other country. That is the reasons for refugees. Like recently Rohingya crisis from Myanmar, also now recently Bangladesh. Many people want to come, but the CRPF, BSF, I guess, BSF are not allowing. They are saying we have orders from Home Ministry not to allow refugees. So, India, trusted partner. These people were pro-India. The pro-India people are being largely prosecuted. Even minorities in Bangladesh, that is Hindus, etc., may be prosecuted, or it is a narrative, but refugees, they are seeking for protection. It is also India, lot of refugees stay. Bangladesh, I think many Bangladeshis also, the Tamils of Sri Lanka, little displaced Tamils, Rohingyas also stay. Also Hindus from Pakistan, Afghanistan, many times they are given, I guess nowadays they are given asylum also and citizenship. Recently I read few Sikhs from Afghanistan were given citizenship. So Kashmir also, Kashmiri Pandit refugees. In India also, refugee within India, staying in camps, etc. So largely refugee crisis can be internal and external also, like from particular region. The citizens may be displaced. Also Manipur, Metis and Cookies, displacement is also happening. Refugee, that is refugee crisis in India largely. So what can be the ethical issues? Yes, atrocities towards everyone, it happens. In refugees acts, very homelessness, very bad state to be in. World largely has not shown enough compassion towards refugees. There is more, they give reasons of peace and security. Largely human values have been ignored in refugee crisis. Europe also talks about a lot of refugees. Recently, few years back, their conduct was also questioned. They were not allowing refugees from MENA countries, Arabian countries. MENA means Middle East and North African countries. So much revolution happened, Arab Spring and what Spring, Jasmine Revolution, etc. Arab Spring, then these refugees were coming to the Europe and they were not even allowed. Largely, Europe is very receptive as compared to other countries. They refuse on the basis of security, that it will threaten our security and change our demography, smaller countries. Also, there are a lot of images, thousands of people drowning in the seas. There, I guess, a child image had come, was trying to cross Mediterranean Sea from here to, and he drowned on the coast only. Well, 5-6-year-old child. Also, many times people spend months on the borders, waiting entry in search of livelihood. That the philosophy countries follow for security and demographic purposes. That is, their peace is more important than other people's peace. Great is good for greatest number of people. See how minority gets ignored there. So that's why there should be area of justice. There should be differential principle towards the refugees. Also, nations should need to show compassion towards refugees, because if they do not show compassion and peace and harmony towards refugees, what will happen? Yes, they are very vulnerable. They will turn towards, get easily brainwashed, terrorism. See, injustice is happening. There should not be injustice with any person. That injustice hurts anyone. Even it happens with you, any injustice, you will feel that. And to vent out their anger, they will be brainwashed and terrorism will be promoted. So the two things happen in refugee. First, peace and harmony, in the name of peace and harmony and security, you refuse refugees, but eventually it will threaten the peace and harmony. Also, hot question this year, refugee crisis is happening in Bangladesh. This year it may come. Nowadays UPSC is answering questions with a lag. So maybe next year they will ask ethics with the refugee crisis. Some way or other they will ask, content will remain the same. Content won't change. Only skill lies in modifying the content. Ethics in refugees and moral realism cannot go hand in hand. Now, that is all answer writing skills. Can ethics and refugees and moral idealism be compatible? Then you have to write differently. That way they can connect any variable. Then it's all answer writing skills. Content in both the questions will remain the same. Only modification is needed according to the demand of the questions. Any issues with ethics in refugees? Also, India is not signatory to that convention. Also, India does not have a comprehensive policy on refugees as well. It deals in a very arbitrary manner. Like, see, if there was a comprehensive policy, then Bangladeshi refugees may have been allowed. And yes, it should be allowed also. Yeah, big brother or elder brother. So there should be elder brother, not big brother. Big brother is authoritative, elder brother is compassionate. Now, see, no policy arbitrary. Today allowed, today no. On the one hand, Afghanistan 6 have been given citizen. And on the other hand, your closest neighbor, refugees are not given allowed. Then this has no comprehensive policy, no objectivity, arbitrariness. Then, see, it's very disheartening also. These people trusted you, trusted the government, trusted Sheikh Hasina. India was, well, truly pro Sheikh Hasina, it was totally against Khalida Zia, Bangladesh National Party. Now when they are asking for refugees, they are not allowing us. See, there are also intellect people are there. They are also been attacked. One principal, I guess, recently I was reading, he was not allowing religious books in the college. That's good only. There should be rationality. There should be no religious recitation in the college. But now they forcefully students enter and in front of him they read religious books. Now there is also threat to life of him also. So that is also one thing. So that's why there should be comprehensive policy on refugees also. India, a very volatile neighborhood. We know all religious countries are there, not secular. Also in ethics of war, I forgot to tell you, even if country may be military strong, but may not remain peaceful. Remain peaceful. Israel, developed country, no peace at all, because peace can come only when there is peace in your neighbor. If you go to your home also, if your neighbor is always fighting, it will affect your home also. It will affect the environment of your home also. Okay, there should be peace at home, peace at neighborhood. Peace at home will happen only if there is peace at home. Also, see, Bhutan, also US is military economically very strong, but does not ride high on happiness index. Bhutan, not economically, neither military strong, but happy, most happiest country, one of the most happiest country. Happiness index. Scandinavian countries also not military strong. Yes, they don't have military also, but happiest country, happiness. That what matters, not military in power. Any quotes are there? I have saved those for questions. Okay, now write down. Refugees refused by the country on the reasons of security, stability, and peace on hand. But this refusal itself threatens security, stability, peace, and harmony. Right? Can be helpful somewhere. Refugees are denied asylum. Refugees denied asylum in a country for security, stability, peace, and harmony. But this denial itself threatens security, peace, harmony, everything. Denied asylum. Now write. According to UNHCR, refugee is a person who has faced political prosecution, refugee is a person who has faced political prosecution in his country such as there is threat to his life, freedom, and liberty. Such as there is a threat to his life, freedom, and liberty, especially by the state. Especially by the state. If such person seeks asylum, or goes to another state, goes to another country. If such person seeks asylum or goes to another country by any means, country will not refuse to help. Country will not refuse help. And send that person back. And not send that person back. First point, country is signatory to this convention. Is signatory to this convention. Second, country has a customary law. Country has a customary law to protect and help refugees. Example, Atithi Dev Bhava. This person is treated as a guest. This person is treated as a guest. Guest is government. Worship guest. India is not signatory to this convention. All EU countries are. India is not signatory to this convention. All EU countries are. Next, and the convention. The convention is based on human rights and dignity. The convention is based on human rights and dignity. UNHCR, not CR. There is UNHRC also, Human Rights Commission, this HCR. This convention is based on human rights and dignity, respect and freedom. And according to UNHCR, this convention is based on human rights and dignity, respect and freedom. And according to UNHCR, refugees are entitled to according to UNHCR, United Nations High Commission for Refugees. According to UNHCR, okay? UNCR, UNH. According to UNHCR, refugees are entitled for food, education, health and livelihood. Are entitled for food, education, health and livelihood in the country they stay. Even UNHCR issues identity cards. Now give next subheading, refugee crisis. Refugee crisis in the world is largely due to development crisis. Refugee crisis in the world is largely due to development crisis. In which people face disagreement, resulting in political prosecution, increasing violence, as a result of which refugees crisis emerge. As a result of which refugee crisis emerge. Especially refugees from Arabian countries, MENA countries, especially refugees from MENA countries, MENA countries or Arabian countries, MENA, Middle East and North Africa. This is used formally also in international relations. Rohingyas from Myanmar, and also recent Bangladesh refugee crisis due to Bangladesh coup. Recent Bangladesh refugee crisis due to the coup. Coup, you understand? C-O. What happened in Myanmar is called as a coup. Toppling the democratic elected government. That is a coup. Tattapalat. Very good. But that can happen also that way for democratic election also. But coup is largely that way. Military coup, etc. happens. Yes, refugees are coming to the country. There is a crisis of refugees and country is not allowed. Then crisis happens. India already has refugee issues. See, migrants are different from refugees. Migrants are not politically prosecuted. Some migrants wants to enter India for better opportunities, especially from Bangladesh. That is illegal migrants. Those are not refugees. So in that case, state is not bound to give asylum to them. Also in Western countries also, many, I guess Canada, many people try to enter illegally. That is not refugee crisis. Yes. USA also, I guess Canada is increasing trend. US is very strict, very secure borders. Open borders between US and Canada. Mexico, from Mexico, they are trying to enter many refugees. Many also swim that from Florida here they will swim and go there. Prosecution happened in Cuba also. The prosecution happened here also, North Korea, South Korea. India already has refugee issues such as first Bangladesh refugee crisis. Minorities prosecuted in Pakistan, Afghanistan. Minorities prosecuted in Afghanistan. Recent Bangladesh crisis. Second, minorities prosecuted in Pakistan, Afghanistan. Tamils from Sri Lanka. Kashmiri Pandit in refugee camps. Therefore, present crisis in India is both internal and external. Both national or international or internal and external. Present crisis in India is both national and international. Alright, ethical issues. Prosecute them in the name of religion, don't give them religious freedom, forcefully try to convert them, kidnap their woman, marry them to other religion, forceful conversion, that is prosecution. So ethical issues first, world has not shown enough compassion. The world has not shown enough compassion. Rather, there is more of selfishness. The world has not shown enough compassion. Rather, there is more of selfishness to deal with refugee crisis. To deal with refugee crisis. To deal with refugee crisis. Next point. Own peace of a country, own peace of country became more important than others' peace. Became more important than others' peace. Next, demography and security. Demography. Understand demography क्या होता है? Demography and security has been given a strong reason. Demography and security has been given a strong reason for refusal of asylum. demography and security has been given a strong reason for refusal of asylum. Resulting in refugees being left in lurch. Refugees being left in lurch. If you don't understand lurch, that uncertain situation. On the borders, refugees have been left in an uncertain situation on the borders, drowning in oceans. Thousands have died in the search of livelihood. All this happens and the world simply watches on. European Union, next point, European Union. Always propagated human rights. EU always propagated human rights. But its response to refugee crisis have been found wanting. But its response to refugee crisis has been found to be wanting. Has been found to be wanting. Has been found to be inadequate. Next, India too has not acted as per its custom of Atithi Dev Bhava. India too has not acted as per its custom of Atithi Dev Bhava, especially on the Rohingya issue, and now the Bangladesh crisis. Next point, nation states. Needs to be more deep-hearted. Needs to be more deep-hearted. Needs to be more deep-hearted to show compassion towards the refugees. Nation states needs to be more deep-hearted to show compassion towards the refugees. Deep-hearted, deep, heartful emotions they should show. Deeper emotions, deep depth of the heart. Depth of the heart is narrow, very emotional. So that emotions one need to take off towards refugees. Deeper emotions, that's what it means. What you are till where you have written? Compassion towards and concern for concern on refugee issues. Otherwise, refugees will become soft target. Otherwise, refugees will become soft target for disrupting peace and harmony. Soft target for disrupting peace and harmony. And then world will have to pay more. And then the world have to pay more. Have to pay more. Therefore, the present crisis has two dimensions. Therefore, the present crisis has two dimensions. First, questions the human values of nation states. The human values of nation states. Next, second, ignoring this issue in long run can threaten the peace and harmony of the world. Now, national interest and ethics in IR. Now, what is national interest? What can be the dimensions of national interest? So, prosperity, yes, and wait, this side, then from this section. State, yes, state interest and security, yes. Now here, first, what can be national interest of a country? Peace, harmony, and security, safety, public interest, trade, commerce. Then image of the country also can be national interest. Yes, political and strategic concerns also, that can also be national interest. So can ethics in IR and national interest be compatible? Yes or no, and why? Yes, bata. Can ethics in IR and national interest be compatible? क्या क्या? तो compatible नहीं. Okay. Sometimes no. Idealism and realism. Okay. Sometimes. Ethics can be harmful for national interest. How? Depends what. So they are compatible. National interest at us forefront. Ethics, no ethics in IR. Ethics in IR, no national interest. This is the relation. Which? Can be, and when it can be, and when it can. George? John Losh, okay. Something is happening. Self-interest. Ethical. So national interest is what is national interest? That is ethics in IR. Okay. Yes, then. It can be. So they are compatible. Not majorly. Same view. Now next time onwards, sit separately. Don't sit together. Can it be compatible? Or both? Explain how. Example, maybe. So all citizens are ignored for sake of other citizens. So ethics in IR is not compatible with national interests. Okay. Moral realism is also an ethical philosophy. Power can also be used to restore peace and harmony also. So national interest is morality. Yes. Yes, bata. Try करना है. Okay.
So actually we are most of the differences between hybrids it's national but maximum for example because I in name of its say has been
This to a certain extent is right. See, national interest is this: public interest, safety, security, trade, commerce, image of the country, and what ethics wants: peace and harmony, diversity, human values. Can this happen without this? Can this happen without this? Can public interest be promoted without human values? Can trade and commerce happen without peace and harmony? So largely they are compatible. Ethics in IR is compatible with national interest, but sometimes national interest may not be compatible with ethics in IR. So India, nuclear power, smiling Buddha, I guess, smiling Buddha says India became a nuclear state, national interest, but it promotes what? Nuclear deterrence, but also nuclear arm race in the neighborhood. So not against ethics in IR. But that is moral thing. First this happened, then NFU, no first use. So this way it is not compatible. Also Rohingyas were refugee. Many some are there, some were refused. Name of security and safety, but it goes against ethics in IR. So it is not compatible also. But some things may appear non-compatible in the short run, but long run they may be meeting the standards of ethics. How? Nuclear power India became. So nuclear deterrence. So there is no nuclear war. So in the long run, it promoted peace and harmony. All neighbors are nuclear powerhouse. Pakistan, China. But nuclear power, nuclear deterrence, resulting in no nuclear warfare till now. So in the short run, it may appear that this is not compatible, but in the long run, it is. So it should not be. Also, ethics is subjective, it is not absolute. So what may be unethical in the short run may appear to be ethical in the long run. So three relationship you have to show if it comes. Yes, national interest, more priority to ethics in IR than there is no ethics in IR. Like you can connect with Rohingyas, refugee issues, or with Bangladesh refugee crisis. Ethics in IR, no national interest. How you will connect? Allowing refugees, security issue, no peace and harmony. India's international aid when the country itself is poor. And there can be also ethics in IR equal to national interest. Peace and harmony, you allow refugees also. But at the same time, you can see this also. Short run, there is no ethics in IR. National interest is being pursued. In long run, national interest becomes equal to ethics in IR. So these three dimensions we have to explore when question comes with this regard. Opening of dimensions is the key. So write down this. So things are clear. National interest and ethics in IR. National interest is related to national security. Write down national interest. Under this heading, national interest and ethics in IR. National interest is related to national security. It is concerned with safety, security, public interest, safety, security, public interest, trade and commerce, image of the country, any country's foreign relation, any country's foreign relation, is governed by social, cultural and political factors, which are cultivated by the country as common values. Which are collected by the country as common values. By the country as common values. What you have written? These common values such as peace and harmony, secularism, diversity, respect for human rights and values, therefore national interest can also be guided by such values. Therefore, national interest can also be guided by such values. It means that national interest may not always be in conflict. It means that national interests may not always be in conflict with ethics in IR. As other countries also want to have peace, harmony, dignity and respect. At the same time, next. In short run, national interest may be in conflict with ethics in IR. At the same time, in short run, national interest may also be in conflict with ethics in IR. Such as nuclear weapon testing by India, such as nuclear weapons testing in India. In short run, ethics in IR was compromised for national interest. Ethics in IR was compromised for national interest. But in long run, national interest became compatible with ethics in IR. But in long run, national interest became compatible with ethics in IR. As nuclear deterrence, promoted peace and harmony in the subcontinent. As nuclear deterrence promoted peace and harmony in the subcontinent. In the subcontinent, in South Asia. Further, at the last relation, national interest may not remain compatible with ethics in IR. May not remain compatible with ethics in IR. As seen in the Rohingyas and Bangladesh refugee crisis in India. As seen in the Rohingyas and Bangladesh refugee crisis in India. Therefore, national interest should be seen from a broader perspective. Should be seen from a broader perspective. If the country takes decision based on national interests, if the country takes the decision based on national interests, It does not necessarily mean that country does not respect ethics in IR. That country does not respect ethics in IR. Rather, national interest in long run may suffer if there is no ethics in IR. Now, next topic, ethical issues in international funding. Why international funding is required? For and between nations. How? Funding, development, peace and harmony. What is the reason for funding only to peace and harmony? Yes, to a large extent, funding is for development. But yes, funding can also be used to disturb peace and harmony also. Yes, terror funding is also terrorism, everything. Yes, that is the key here, differential principle. Largely international funding happens for development, governance, sustainable development goals to achieve this. For social justice, innovation and entrepreneurship. There is also technology transfer also happens. Technology transfer, international funding, World Bank funds, International Monetary Fund also funds. And from where funding happens? One is international institutions, and from where else? International institution हो गया World Bank, UNDP, IMF. Yes, countries also, country to country. India gives soft loans to smaller countries. Yes, Japan also gives soft loans to India. 40, 50 years of maturity to build metros, Zika Corporation Acts. Funding for development. One is country to country. One is international agencies and corporate. NGOs, yes. Bill and Melinda Gates. NGOs, civil society. They also fund Ford Foundation. Yes, Ford Foundation. Foundation also funds many NGOs are there. Greenpeace, Amnesty International, UNAID, USAID. They are all funding here. So, what can be the model? Largely 4 models, I guess. They fund developed country, funding developing countries. क्या मॉडल हो सकते हैं बताओ? That's our focus. Social life after the class. Developed countries. directly. This can be one model. Second can be developed countries. They'll give to NGOs, civil society, they will fund. This can be other model. That civil society NGOs directly to developing countries. International institutions to developing countries. Also, developing countries to developing countries also, I guess, through institutions like ADB, BRICS Bank, Asian Development Bank. These are all funding models. Various NGOs, USAID, Greenpeace, Amnesty International, Greenpeace, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. So, internationally, it's the World Bank, IMF, UNDP. This can be the various models of funding. Make this will be helpful. NGOs, USAID, here, NGOs, civil society. Models. And this is not official models, not official names, but this way funding happens. Developed country, directly to developing country. Developed country through NGOs and civil societies. NGOs and civil societies directly to developing country. International institutions like IMF, World Bank, UNDP to developing countries, and this also developing countries institutions like Asian Development Bank, BRICS Bank to developing country. UNDP, M3, M5, BRICS Bank, ADB, Asian Development Bank. These are various international NGOs, USAID, Greenpeace, Amnesty International, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. NGOs. This can come under this also, they can use this. You should know some prominent NGOs also. USAID, Greenpeace, Amnesty International, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. USAID, Ford Foundation also, right? Don't write George Soros. You also write George Soros. You write his funding opposition. Funding Rahul Gandhi to topple the government. What happened? Any issue? The only 3 model you international agencies, international financial institutions is M4. Greenpeace, USAID, Amnesty International, Amnesty Ford Foundation, USAID, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. This simple diagram is taking so much time, so much complicated diagrams we had drawn previously. Not so big thing about this. This is developing countries, developed countries, NGOs directly, international financial institutions, ADB, developing countries. जितना टाइम हॉब्स और इनके डायग्राम में नहीं लगा इतना टाइम यहाँ लगता है. Asian Development Bank. Developing countries funding developing countries. Yes, developing countries institutions. BRICS Bank. Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. There was also a debate to drop India from BRICS. BRICS also expanded, I guess, further. Because India's economy was not going as fast as to other countries. Before it was BRIC, then it becomes BRICS. Now, what can be the ethical issues in international funding? I guess we should be able to tell intention. Yes, this side. Terrorism. Intention में आ गया. So black money. Wrong. But this is happening all through formal channels. Terror. Death trap. Very good. Death trap. Yes. Yes, ideology. बताओ. Think. बाहर से फंडिंग आ रहे हैं तो कुछ होगा. क्या होगा?
8%.
हाँ? But okay. More precise I'm looking. बाहर से तुम्हें कोई पैसा दे रहा है तो क्या होगा? Yes, it is more of air conditionalities affecting volunteerness and free will. World Bank gave loan to India. IMF, gave loan to India in economic crisis. What condition it held? Open up the economy. So it imposes the values of West. Values of West are LPG, liberal values. Now, we also discuss how this promotes a shell of democracy. Government, people have elected the government to implement what? People's? Yes. General will, yes. Election manifesto. They gave election this. You vote, implement, but they are implementing manifesto of international agencies. They are short-circuiting the democracy. against democratic values. Also, international funding, also there has been issues of religious conversion also through charity work, charity and religious conversion. International funding directly from NGOs, civil society, converting tribals, etc., doing charity work, but conversion also. Also, this aid conditionality hampers democratic values. Reforms should come within, not imposition. LPG reforms were imposed. It should come from within, that is, government should take decision to reform the economy. Also, there can be conflict of interest also. How can there be conflict of interest? How there can be conflict of interest? Tell now. That's why, pay attention. You are not school children for me to say anything. Be self-motivated and self-regulated. So, how can there be conflict of interest? Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation were responsible for vaccine, I guess. Vaccine. But the equipments, everything, vaccines they were importing from a foreign country, of which Bill Gates was a board of member. So, conflict of interest, maybe favoring that company to increase profit and increase production. This can also lead to conflict of interest. Further, it can also, these international institutions or NGOs may have some vested interest and ulterior motive also. That is toppling the government. Also, there were lot of protests few years ago against nuclear energy, nuclear power, Kundakulam nuclear power plant. You should know all the nuclear power plant where they are based. For prelims, it is important. Kundakulam, it was by Russia. This and one NGO of US was funding that protest, so that India abandons nuclear energy and moves towards renewable energy, in which USA has proficiency. So I guess we have moved also. One nation, one sun, one world, one nuclear energy, one solar energy. Nuclear energy is largely abandoned, and we don't hear also what is happening. No nuclear power plant. So this way they may protest, everything may happen. Also in some Latin American countries also, NGOs, civil society were used to fuel protests and topple the government. So this, they can have some ethical issues happen. Also security issues happen. This, yes, it can, NGOs, civil societies can be used to fund terror activities. Terrorism against Zakir Naik Foundation was used for terror activities. That is, noble cause may get overwhelmed and this causes may be promoted. These are the ethical issues of international funding. Remember all these issues, because they are helpful in case studies. One case study is given, then what are the ethical issues? You should write on these lines. Ethical issues on international funding. So what can be the solution for this? International funding, what can be international funding? There can be dependency. Yes, now these smaller countries are trapped in a debt trap. Sri Lanka, etc. Belt and Road Initiative was debt trap initiative. Silk Road, etc. So, how to deal with this? Developing countries itself should promote innovation and entrepreneurship. So there is less need to depend on international funding. Should promote NGOs within its country only. It should be NGO friendly. If civil society is there, strong civil society, government need not worry about the people. They will be taken care of. People can't be developed. They should develop themselves. So, civil society's role is important. Also, there should be increasing transparency in funding, etc. Why this aid conditionalities? Whatever the transparent process, it should happen. Also, international institutions too should be democratized. We all know how there is a dominance of what? Dominance of who? Yes, P5 countries, also World Bank and IMF dominated by Western countries. World Bank largely dominated by USA, IMF largely by European Union. Democratization of international organization too should happen. There should be increasing awareness also about the society, about international funding. Then this can be properly achieve the intended motives. This was all about international funding. Any doubts here? See, not much to tell in this. It's more GS type, less conceptual. So, any doubts? So, write down that. International funding is an essential practice for promoting development. This an essential practice for promoting development, good governance, sustainable development is an essential practice for promoting development, good governance, sustainable development, innovation and advancement, social justice, for promotion of good governance, sustainable development, social justice, innovation and advancement. Innovation and advancement. Innovation and advancement. Okay. Such international funding can be in the form of loans and grants. In the form of loans and grants, aid, philanthropy, in the form of loans, grants, aid, philanthropy, loans, grants, aid, philanthropy, charity. Such funding is done by developed countries. International financial institutions. Donor agencies. Civil society organizations. Ethical issues, right? Ethical issues. First, loss of free will and voluntariness. Free will and voluntariness of people. Loss of free will and voluntariness of people. as through aid and help, 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 values get imposed, as through aid and help, values get imposed in terms of adopting liberal values, in terms of adopting liberal values, religious conversion, next point, aid conditionalities. Aid conditionalities are also against democratic values. As it creates a shell of democracy. As it creates a shell of democracy. Reforms are imposed for which people may not have been voted the government for. People voted for socialism, but aid conditionalities of the West promoting capitalism and liberal values, such as imposition of LPG, LPG liberalization and privatization, LPG and globalization on developing countries. Next, conflict of interest. Next point, conflict of interest. People who do charity conflict of interest, under conflict of interest, people who do charity. Next point, conflict of interest. People who do charity may have conflict of interest. People who do charity may have conflict of interest, such as Bill Gates, who was heading the immunization program, in India, immunization that is giving vaccines. Through its NGO, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. You people are also confusing me. Bill Gates, Microsoft, Windows. But medicines and devices but medicines and devices provided in India through a firm for which he served on the board of directors. Through a firm for which he served on the board of directors. Next point, vested interest and ulterior motive. Vested interest and ulterior motive. Vested interest and ulterior motive. By destroying stability in the development process. By destroying stability in the development process. Stability in development process, toppling governments, topple government in India. In India, according to IB report, ulterior motive means not good intentions, that is ulterior motive. In India, according to IB report, increasing protest against nuclear energy so that renewable energy can be promoted. Which will benefit the United States. Which will benefit the United States. Next, right, security concerns. Funding also. Is a means to promote terrorism and insurgency that is terror funding through various NGOs. Right, in conclusion, funding has a noble cause, It should be done with a humane angle. But many times it is also done to pursue self-interest. But many times it is also done to pursue self-interest. Now write in brief mechanism to deal with international funding. Mechanism to deal with international funding. First, increased transparency in the process of funding. Next, developing countries should become resourceful. Developing countries should become resourceful by enhancing resource management, promoting good governance, innovation and entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship. Next, international financial institution. Financial institution too should be reformed. And become more democratic. So there should be increasing awareness in society against vested interest. Increasing awareness in the society against vested interest. Pages khatam. You want pages? There is one more topic. One more topic to be discussed. Right here, you see it. So, a small topic. Why there should be ethics in IR also? We should also brief how can there be ethics in IR. Not much significant, but it's better to know. Another dimension will bring. Many times we know how decisions are made on the basis of national interest, and ethics in IR is not promoted. But in the long run, we also know ethics in IR and national interest can become cohesive. Also, it can become conflicting also. But when this happens, people also need ethics in IR. IR is largely government's arena. People don't have much say, but there have been various instances where people have forced change in policy, which was against ethics in IR. People needs good relation. People too want good relation with neighboring countries. Suppose this. Okay. So people are staying here, suppose, and here is Pakistan. Who will be majorly affected when we have a war with Pakistan? Bordering people. We saw this largely, I guess. Then they want ethics in IR. They want through peaceful means, and many times government too has changed the stand. Can you tell some example? Very broader example. Very broader example. I guess Vietnam War. US was in Vietnam. Total perception of people was changing, and they have to withdraw their troops from Vietnam. Yes, Afghanistan also, but Vietnam is very important example, and it is more fitting examples because lot of atrocities were happening. Totally people became against it. They divided this country. Many people were dying. Guerrilla warfare. It's very difficult. Developing countries people are expert in guerrilla warfare. To understand guerrilla warfare, chupke se attack karo, not face to face. That is guerrilla. You hide in trees, you hide in bushes. That is Naxalism also largely guerrilla warfare. Very difficult to beat guerrilla warfare. So that's what people also need. People also need noble cause, respect, dignity, etc. So it's basically bringing people's angle in ethics in IR. That angle also you should explore. People can also decide ethics in IR. But ethics, we all know, it is not absolute. It is situation based also. So many times national interest, etc. can be in connivance with ethics in IR. That is main aim of the ethics in IR, promoting peace and harmony. Human should not live for himself, but rather have some moral obligation towards the society as well. Peace at home, peace in neighborhood, peace at home. Largely, basically the motive was to bring a people's angle in ethics in IR also. Largely it is this way, human character. Human character, family, society, country, world. Human character good, family good, society good, country good, country is good, world is good. So there is ethics in IR. This is some relation, may be helpful. Draw. Yes, everyone, ethics in IR, peace and harmony. That's why ethics is important, not only in UPSC but also to promote humanity, so that humanity doesn't get extinct. If humanity gets extinct, human will be extinct. There will be animal rule. Yes, having social life is also good, but I guess it's better strategy to focus what has been taught. Social life during acquisition of knowledge may also be helpful to keep things lighter, but may also compromise in the quality of your cognition. Then doubts will come, then concepts won't be clear, then foundation will be weak, then you will blame me that I didn't taught well. Okay, so focus. This is not a school. Human character. Ask me. I also repeated also. Human character, then family, then society, country, world, everything good, then ethics in IR. World is good. So write why ethics in IR, some 1, 2, or 3, 4 points you write. Why ethics in IR? For human dignity, respect. Why ethics in IR? For human dignity, respect, freedom. Why ethics in IR? Human dignity, respect, freedom, free will and voluntariness. Human dignity, respect, freedom, free will and voluntariness. Next, prosperity, peace and harmony. Next, human should not live life for himself. Human should not only live life for himself, but also have some social responsibility. Human should not live life only for himself, but also have some social responsibility. Peace cannot be at home. Unless there is peace in the neighborhood. Peace cannot be at home unless there is peace in the neighborhood. Write some different that people's perspective now. Right? Can there be ethics in IR? Like that. Can there be ethics in IR? Subheading, can there be ethics in IR? Although there is overwhelming perception. Although there is overwhelming perception. Yes. Overwhelming perception, although there is perception. Don't write overwhelming. Although there is overwhelming perception that hardly there is ethics in IR due to prevailing situation. You know what situation is this? How Israel is bombing Palestine, how atrocities is happening in Palestine and the world is quiet. Also how Bangladesh refugee crisis is there, many issues are there. Ukraine war is going for so long, Russia-Ukraine invasion. So the question comes whether there is ethics in IR due to the prevailing situation and decisions of the country in national interest. Due to the prevailing situation, although there is an overwhelming perception that there is hardly ethics in IR, due to the prevailing situation, current situation, right? Current situation, okay. Alright, contemporary situation. And decisions by countries in national interest. And decisions by country in national interest. And also, many times, international conventions have not been adhered to. Many times, international conventions have not been adhered to. Not been adhered to. not been followed. Okay. But ethics in IR is needed. Because first, people want ethics. People want that there should be ethics in IR. Next one, people also use ethics to judge national decisions. Judge national decisions, that is decisions by their own government. That is national decisions, whether they are right or wrong. Example, Vietnam War. The entire nation was against it. Also in positive way, you can also see when the Kargil war happened, entire nation was for that. So in a positive way also, this was ethical, that we should recapture our territory. See, largely other things you relate with this, peace and harmony, etc. No point in writing the same thing. So relate peace, harmony. People also want peace and harmony, which can come, write this. People also want peace and harmony, which can come only if there is ethics in IR. Want peace and harmony, if that can only come if there is ethics in IR. Have you written that Israel also, example Israel, or you want to write Israel, despite being military powerful, is not peaceful because of lack of ethics in IR. Have you written that? Then write for your understanding, otherwise skip if you have sharp memory. Israel, despite being militarily powerful, is not a peaceful nation because of absence of ethics in IR. The United States too is, क्या लिखा है? Is not a peaceful nation because of lack of ethics in IR.